So welcome back. This is Chapter 2, Sharpening, Softening and Adding a Vignette for that really romantic wedding look. Now that we know how to create an action, we're going to make a new one to keep all of our wedding bits together so we can apply the whole wedding look to a whole batch of images. So I'm going to create a new action here. We'll call it Soft Sharp Vignette. And the new action to go in this set is the same, and we'll hit record. So we've got our image ready here. Firstly, we're going to sharpen the image. Now to do this, we want to come into image, into mode, and come into lab color. And what this will give us is, when we look in the channels palette, our channels are all split down like this. Now, if you can't see that there, you come to Window and down to Channels. We want to select the lightness channel here, and we're going to apply our sharpening to this channel. So we're coming down to Filter, Sharpen, and Unsharp Mask here. Now, I've got a standard set of numbers that I apply, which is basically 1, 2, 3, 100 in here, 2 in the radius and 3 in the threshold. And just clicking inside this window, holding the mouse down and releasing it, you can see the subtle adjustment that it makes to the sharpness of the image. It's really picking out some detail in that ribbon there, which is excellent. That's what we want. So we OK that. And again, all of our actions are being recorded here so that Photoshop can run through it all again when we're not there. So we're done with the sharpening now, so we're going to go image mode and back to RGB. And now we're going to apply some softening to get that really dreamy romantic look that all the wedding clients really, really like. So let's have a go. To do that, we want to duplicate the layer, so we can either hold this layer down here and onto the duplicate layer icon, or Control J on the keyboard. To add our blur, we're going to go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And we want a nice blur of around 15 to 20. Now, while this looks like an awful lot of blur, this is really what we want, because the next step will actually knock it out for us again and just give us that subtle softness to our image. So we'll OK there. And then what we're going to do, just to bring back the detail in our image and give us back the clarity and the sharpness, is come to the levels palette here, and we're going to click opacity, and we're going to come down to 20%. Let's get rid of that. And now all of our sharpness has come back, but we've still got that slightly dreamy edge to it. And if we zoom in a wee bit, our details are all still nice and sharp, but there's a subtle softness to the image. Really, really flattering for portraits as well. Okay, so that's our sharpening and our softness applied. Let's have a go with a vignette. To do this, we want to come down to Layers and Multiply, which darkens our whole image, which isn't really what we want, but we'll take steps to get rid of that again. Now, we want to be thinking ahead for both orientations of images, both landscape and portrait. So if we sat here and drew out a selection, Photoshop would remember this selection, but if we had a landscape image, this wouldn't suit it at all. So let's just get rid of that. There's a different way of creating a selection that will be standardized across either landscape or portrait images. And to do that, we want to select all, or Control A on your keyboard. And then we want to select and transform the selection. Now in this menu at the top here, we want to make sure this little chain link icon is pressed in and highlighted there. And then anything we do to the width of the selection will be done to the height of the selection. And because we're working in %, it doesn't matter if our image is portrait or landscape. So let's come to 80% there. And you can either press enter or tick the little green tick box there. And that's our selection. Now, this is quite nice. It's selected the edge of our image for us, but it's quite a hard line and we really want to soften it down and make it really subtle. So we come to select and feather, and we want a radius of 150 pixels. And that really, really softens down this hard line for us. Then we can either come to edit and cut, or just hit the delete key on your keyboard, or Control X or Apple X. And the middle of that selection now is gone. Now, while it looks quite subtle, if we come down here and turn the vignette on and off, we can see the effect it's had. It really just draws your eye into the middle of the image and gives more sort of preference to your subject. And all of our actions here have been recorded, so that now we can run every image through the sharpening, the softening, and the vignette, and it will apply to both portrait and landscape images. And we don't have to be sat in front of the computer to get from this to this, which is excellent. So we want to now save this image, and we're going to need a new folder. So on your desktop, new folder here, we'll call it Wedding Effects, and save in there. Again, we're saving as a PSD, so we've got all of our layers available to play with should we decide to change our mind about anything. And we'll save that. There we go. So we can now stop our action, and we're ready for Chapter 3, putting the whole thing together and fully automating the system. Okay.